This is Newsbag, a weekly report featuring the people and the events that shape our world. Here now are your Newsbag hosts.
Good morning, I'm Kenji Jasper. We're going to tell you about a new movie that became a #1 box office hit over Thanksgiving weekend. It's Star Trek IV, and we're going to look in on the voyage home.
Hi, I'm Thaddeus Rudd. The holiday shoppers are out in full force, and toy stores are the main attraction. Our guest today is Deborah Wager from the Americans for Democratic Action. She's going to tell us about this year's best and worst toys.
Hi, I'm Shay Ferris. Life in the Soviet Union is a complete mystery to most American kids. In our report today, we'll find out about a special student exchange program that brought the Soviet Union a little closer to home.
And I'm Miliana Quander. If you ask 5 kids what they want to find under their tree on Christmas morning, you'll probably hear the word toys 5 times. Today we're going to tell you about some of the hottest trends in Toyland this year. So let's get on with the news. Kenji?
When President Reagan and Soviet leader Gorbachev meet to discuss Star Wars, the talks make news headlines. But it seems that the kids, Russian or American, all want the same thing for our world, and that's peace. In this Channel 5 report, the United States meets Russia on very peaceful ground.
This is not your average garden party. These teenagers are planning a peace garden. Half of the kids are from this country, the other half from the Soviet Union. It's all a part of an exchange program sponsored by the Holy Earth Foundation. This is the first time Soviet youth have been allowed to stay in the homes of American hosts.
It's a people-to-people tour. Our organization has been taking American citizens to the Soviet Union for 4 years now. This is the first time that we've received approval to bring Soviet kids back here to live in our homes. And the purpose of it is simply to get American teenagers and Soviet teenagers to know one another.
All these kids have one common interest, computers. But they are also learning about the differences in cultures.
Well, certainly to be in another country and look around how people live, what they see on TV, what they read, is very interesting thing, certainly.
And studying the American culture this time of year means attending a Halloween party.
Beautiful, but we haven't this holiday in Soviet Union, and it was very interesting to all the Soviet delegation.
Of course, the Soviet kids are only seeing the positive aspects of this country, but the same is true when the American kids travel to the Soviet Union. The beautiful thing about this gathering is that after a while, you can't figure out which kids are the natives and which ones are the visitors.
Kids are our best diplomats. They just go right for the heart. They don't get stuck in the rhetoric that we old folks get stuck in.
Brian Wilson, Channel 5 News, Reston, Virginia.
Comic books have been popular with American kids of all ages since the first comic book came out in the late 30s. Now the comic craze has taken off in Japan, and adults make up most of the readers. According to our report, the subjects of Japanese comics have gone far beyond the adventures of Superman and his fight against evil.
There used to be a time when comic books were for kids. Not today, and certainly not in Japan. The comic book, or manga as it's called here, has captured the country's imagination. American manga expert Fred Schott offers a reason why.
I do believe that comics they're intertwined with popular culture.
If that's the case, Japanese popular culture is made of a lot more than just cherry blossoms and Mount Fuji. Standard comic fare here tilts heavily in favor of violence, sex, and certain bodily functions. And that in books aimed at everyone from students to housewives to business executives. But then that should not be too surprising. The term manga is made up of 2 Chinese characters, the first of which can mean morally corrupt. Redeeming social value or not, manga are popular. The most popular, Shonen Jump, can easily sell some 4 million copies a week. And that's only one publication. Last year, some 3,000 others found their way to local bookstores. Like it or not, Japan is a visually oriented society, perfect for the average 400-page weekly comic. A language based on ideograms helps the cultural climate, as does the very strong influence of television. Oh yes, the major fare offered up on TV here, well, visual violence, and of course, cartoons.
The sights and sounds of massive roller coasters, Ferris wheels, and carousels are a delight for kids of all ages. And if you think you've been amused so far, hold on to your cotton candy. Amusement park planners have some new high-tech trends in store for some amusement park lovers seeking a thrill.
It is an amusement park lover's dream come true. On display here, the latest ride technology and gimmickry. New for amusement parks this year, the giant wheel. Now, the difference between this and a regular Ferris wheel is that in addition to going around, you also have this wheel here. By spinning the wheel, you turn the entire cab and everyone in it around. This is the Space Probe. It's just off the drawing board and said to be a hot item here at the show.
Use the principle of use is either a ping pong ball on the end of a vacuum cleaner or blows it up. The same principle.
This object is a ride simulator. 12 people are strapped in and watch a movie. The movement on the screen is synchronized with hydraulic pistons supporting the simulator. You feel every movement.
Be anything you want it to be by changing the program.
Now it looks as though they're here to stay.
Recording booths, where your own singing voice is mixed with pre-recorded songs, have been around for several years. This year, the concept has been taken one step further. Now you can make music videos.
After they would come in and do their favorite song, then it was a natural to go in and do an MTV-type video.
New this year for fast food lovers, frying and microwaving vending machines. And the Frogger video game has now been made into a midway game. Instant photography has also taken a step forward here with Fantasy Photo. It combines fantasies with reality.
We've been accepted by several major theme parks to install our system next season.
And that means big bucks for you, huh?
Big bucks for everybody.
If you like Star Trek 1, 2, or even 3, there's a new movie out for all you Trekkies. It's Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. Picture this. It's the 23rd century. Our world is on the edge of destruction. The only hope for salvation lies in the past. So we call on Admiral James T. Kirk, Captain Spock, and Dr. Bones McCoy. These men are no strangers to this type of adventure, but they are strangers to our world, the world of San Francisco, 1986. The movie finds Kirk and Spock trying to save a planet Earth on a time travel voyage to today's California. And even if you aren't a Trekkie, this may be the one Star Trek film that you'll enjoy. Star Trek 4 is supposed to be the lightest and funniest film in the series, a Star Trek movie for everyone.
Keep the nose up if you can. We're in the water. Blow the hatch. The right place, Spock. Now all we have to do is get the whales out of here before we sink. Abandon ship! Scotty, do you hear me? Scotty! Yes. Move, move! See the safety of all hands. I will. Get my arm! You got it? Yeah. Scotty! Scotty! I'm right on it! I'm here, Scotty! I'm here! We're gonna be all right.
Whales flat. Sail proud.
There's no power to the bay door! Explosive override. That's underwater. There's no way to reach it. You go on ahead. And close the hatch. Admiral, you'll be trapped. Go on.
Star Trek's creators say that the public won't be disappointed by the film, and it looks like they won't be either. The movie premiered Thanksgiving weekend, and by the end of the week, it was a #1 at box offices, and it grossed over $25 million in ticket sales.
When something is enjoyed generation after generation, it's called a classic. Some of our favorite songs and films became popular long before we were born. Now they're making major comebacks in the form of remakes, and Walt Disney is no exception. They know a timeless treasure when they have one. The 40-year-old Disney cartoon Song of the South is being re-released with the hope of capturing a whole new viewing audience. Let's see what's keeping Disney's magic alive.
For years, years, moviegoers have been entertained by the wonderful world of Disney. While the company rarely produces new, fully animated tales, Disney classics are being re-released. Song of the South is one such classic. Originally produced in 1946, the film's creators are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the feature. Animation director Mark Davis says the magic is in the characters.
Disney at his best was something he believed in. That was bringing things to life. We succeeded with him when he believed that the character that was on the screen was alive, and you fell for him.
In the early years, creating lively creatures was a painstaking process. From the moment Mickey Mouse first pranced across the silver screen, Disney and his staff worked to enhance the look of animation.
Here, the same techniques, but had developed so that when Snow White died, and these little dwarfs all walked up around that casket, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Everybody cried.
Only time will tell if Song of the South can capture the hearts of a new generation, but actress Ruth Warrick, who starred in the feature, is sure of its success.
Everybody needs a laughing place. Everybody needs some place where they can go and let all the cares of the world, just whatever the heartaches are, or the heartbreaks, or whatever the problems, you just let them go and you laugh and you giggle, and the film has it.
And that Disney magic, says Warrick, is what makes this movie a very special legacy.
The Christmas shopping rush is officially underway. Toy stores are packed with parents, kids, and hundreds of toys. When we come back, we're going to find out about this year's best and worst toys. So stay with us.
Hi, welcome back to Newsbag. This is probably one of the absolute best times of the year for kids. The chance to make a wish list, and better yet, the hope of finding some of those wishes under the Christmas tree in the form of toys. But not all toys are safe and made well. Every year, Americans for Democratic Action publishes a toy quality and safety report. The report gives consumers a list of the safest and the most dangerous toys. Deborah Wager from ADA is here with us today to tell us about the worst and the best toys this season. Hi, can you tell us about all the great toys you've got with us today?
Sure. Start with
worst.
And the worst.
Yeah.
Let's start with the best. This is a watchable. There you go. There's a watch underneath it. Velcro opening.
Oh, do they have different colors for those?
Different colors and different animals. Okay. This is a peacock. Guess how much it cost?
How much?
Think it's a lot?
$10.
Less than $10, about $8.
Really?
Goodbye for Christmas.
What makes it one of the worst?
No, it's one of the best.
One of the best.
One of the best. Well, it's
creative.
Tells accurate time. It's easy to put on and off. It's inexpensive and it's fun.
And
At least that's what our kids.
Find inexpensive toys.
Right.
Yeah. Because my brother, he absolutely loves inexpensive toys because he loves to break toys, and I'm trying to find him a great inexpensive toy. What can you say about that one?
Which one? This one here?
Yeah, sure.
Well, this one.
An inexpensive toy for a person that likes to break toys.
Well, this one is really not breakable, and this is called Real Men's Soccer by Mattel, and we never thought that would be one of the best toys of the year, but every kid who played with it just loved it. And what you can see here is Ileana's fingers are the soccer player's legs and knees. And then she's put on his shoes, and he's ready to go. And it comes with another man, and goalposts and cones and a soccer ball.
And you
so
just
that
play
was a lot of
soccer
fun.
with your
just
fingers?
play soccer.
That's
Kids
about
all
how much
loved it.
do they cost?
Well, anywhere from about $12 or $13, something like that.
So, like, it was first one of the worst toys, and now that is...
Well, we didn't think it would be either. We just buy all the hot, heavily advertised toys and then see what people say about them, whether they like them, whether they don't like them, whether they break easily, whether they're dangerous, whether kids get bored with it. Because even if a toy looks great, and if you don't want to play with it more than one time, then what good is it, right? Here's another one. It didn't.
Some of these bears we have.
Is that bingo?
Well, this is one of these guys. Talks.
Bingo!
And you can-
my!
Would you continue to dance?
Yes.
I couldn't agree more.
He goes on and on and on and on. He's
So
a
that's
good
one of the best?
Yes. Well, let's do all the good ones first. Okay.
else have you got for
This is the Etch-a-Sketch animator. It's kind of an update of the old Etch-a-Sketch. There we go. And now we can see if we can animate it. Hold
It's
on. See?
Yeah. Now you
It's sort
can
of
see
cute.
it.
And you can do that all yourself. And even the kids who were little and really didn't have the patience to do all these little drawings like this enjoyed playing with it like they would Etch-a-Sketch.
So you really can do just any picture on there and
Anything
animate
that
it?
you want, yes.
About how much does that cost?
This one is not cheap. Anywhere from $40 to $80.
Do you think it's the money's worth?
The kids seem to like it. They never got tired of it. When
See
kids
some other toys.
less expensive. Well, they remember the Rubik's Cube that drove everybody crazy?
Yeah.
It looks like a flat Rubik's
Drove
Cube.
me crazy.
Yes.
I
yeah.
threw it across the room because I thought it was
Under $10, and the object is to get the rings
And this is
linked.
called
The Rubik's Magic
Rubik's
Puzzle.
Magic.
And you can do it like this. And it keeps
Have you
turning.
ever gotten the combination before?
Believe it or not, I shocked myself and I got it. Yes.
Does an instruction booklet come with it? Or
No way.
Oh.
No way. I'll show
That's
you.
what I always look forward to.
Okay, now here is, this kind of toy is not good for everybody, but if you're the kind of child that likes to experiment with things, this is the Fisher-Price microscope, Micro Explorer set it's called technically. One of the nice things that a parent likes about it is that everything stores in the same, in its own case, so nothing is really messy, and everything has its own place. And you can take this out and take it outside and look at things. It blows things up in size. And each of the slides has things on it, and the book tells you what's in it. For example, let's just open randomly to a page here. Under insects, so there's a grasshopper and all kinds of different insects. And then there's one page here that has man-made items, like the point of a screw under a microscope or a typewriter print. Anyway, that's that.
Okay, well, we'll be right back, so don't go away. We'll be right back to tell you about some of the hottest trends in Toyland this year. What are we going to do?
He would have given you your break signal.
I thought he did.
Hi, and welcome back to Newsbag. Well, Deborah had to run off, and she went with all the best toys, and she left us with all the worst ones. Gee, thanks, Debbie. Well, let's get started off, Ileana. What do you have?
We'll start with breath blasters. This is Victor Vomit. Okay, and for $5, $4.99 actually,
get
you
something
get a bunch of bad air.
It smells disgusting.
Disgusting. I think I'll close this up
Get
right
rid
now.
of it.
Yeah.
Next, we
To
have
the
a Rambo action figure. Now, it's going to be pretty popular. It's only $4. They have a television show, but it's really not worth it. Now, if you read the fine print here, it says some assembly required, no tools necessary. Right. What you get is a plastic bag full of little toys, and
Some
you're not going to
assembly
get it
required.
together unless you get your parents to. So we'll get rid of this one. What's next?
Okay. And this is our good old friend, Decompose. And for $20, you get moving ribs. Voila.
And it really doesn't do
And
much
you could
else.
possibly curl his hair.
Good suggestion. And last, and maybe even least, is this thing called Rude Ralph. Now, there's really not much to Rude Ralph. You kind of pull his eye out, and he makes disgusting noises as it goes back. And the only thing I found it was good for is a hook shot. Kenji?
Every year, shoppers scramble to get the year's hottest toys before they're gone. Last year, consumers spent $12 billion on about 150,000 different toys. And if that seems like a lot of money to you, the United States Chamber of Commerce is predicting that this year, Americans will spend $32 billion. The Christmas season has a lot to do with those figures. Over half America's toy business is done in 3 months before Christmas Day. What's holding our interest? Well, it may surprise you, but it seems that the hottest new toys are actually favorites of yesterday with a 1980s high-tech twist. Toy guns have lasers, and dolls and bears are talking. And to further prove that the oldies are definitely goodies, according to Toy and Hobby World magazine, Barbie and G.I. Joe are still tops with the kids. But tomorrow's technology has even made the old-fashioned game of tag a new experience. And one surefire hit this season is laser tag, which has made it to number 5 on top 10 list. Toy list. Ross Crystal visited FAO Schwartz and Mazda Gallery to face off with an opponent in the space-age version of tag.
It's the busiest time of the year for any toy store. Those weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas when people scarf up anything that's hot. Last year, one of those hot items was a talking bear by the name of Teddy Ruxpin. This year, its maker is hoping to cash in on a new item called laser tag.
The way it plays is that you have a starlight, and the other child wears a sensor, and you fire an infrared light beam that will go between 100 and 150 feet, and it tags the opponent when the sensor is tagged by the light, and it shows you how many times you get tagged, and 6 tags, and you lose the game.
Kingsborough says the game is an outgrowth of his childhood, kind of a 1980s way to play the old game of tag. But there are those who might think the whole thing is a lot more gun-oriented.
It set out to be the game of tag as I described it. Clearly, kids will use it as guns as they've used bananas and pencils and everything else forever and ever. So, I mean, I guess we'd have to admit that it would be used as a gun periodically, although that was not the intent of the game.
For me, though, it's this little cap. Not only does it serve a decorative, functional purpose, but I can find it in the morning.
It has the ingredients of basic games that have been around forever, like jump ropes and jacks and tag and those kinds of things, and it causes kids to play together. And so they have the social aspects of the games, and then they also have the competitive aspects and the interaction between each other.
Now, the game certainly does have one advantage.
You can't cheat.
Ross Crystal, Channel 5 News.
Even though metallic clothes, laser tag, and talking toys are the latest trends this year, they haven't completely stolen the show. Mattel's Barbie is 27 years old, and she's still a favorite with girls. You might say that Barbie's not getting older, she's just getting better. But there's a new doll on the block, and her name is Gem. Gem is what the Hasbro company calls a truly outrageous 1980s lifestyle. Offstage, she's Jerrica Benton, president of the Starlight Music Company and manager of a home for runaway girls. But with the help of Synergy, her high-tech fairy godmother, she magically becomes Gem, the glamorous lead singer of the hit rock group Holograms. It's expected that Gem will give Barbie a real run for the money. In fact, we now have a new battle called the Doll Wars. Barbie just introduced, but Barbie isn't taking this all in her stride. This year, Barbie introduced her own group called Barbie and the Rockers. Only time will tell if Barbie and the Rockers will be upstaged by Gem and the Holograms. But despite the doll wars, dolls remain a very popular item. Dolls, old and new, make up a whooping 30% of toy sales. Hasbro executive Al Karosky Jr. speculates on the hotly contested doll market.
Mattel obviously is not going to sit back and let its 27-year franchise be usurped by Gem, and we see a lot of interesting marketing going on between the two companies back and forth. Barbie, lo and behold, this year has a rock and roll band herself, Barbie and the Rockers. Is it a response to Gem, or is it something that Mattel would have done on their own anyway? I really can't say. Mattel says they were planning it for years, and they may very well have been. At Hasbro, however, we think it's very coincidental that in Barbie's 27th year, where she was never into music before, all of a sudden she has a rock band the same time Gem and the holograms are coming out. So we think it's fun. We're enjoying it.
And the new talker from Ideal is an old friend to a lot of kids. This year, Big Bird is telling stories in his own voice. Let's see what he sounds like. Oops.
Oh, hi, Oscar, I said. Well, Slimy and I could use them to dig.
Big Bird is expected, whoops. Big Bird is expected to be a big hit this year with kids. He and his tape sell for about $70. There are lots of talking toys on the toy shelves this year, and Teddy Ruxpin is still number 4 in the top 10 list. But the question is, can Teddy Ruxpin stand up to all this new competition?
Well, that's all the time we have this morning. We'd like to thank Deborah Wager from Americans for Democratic Action for being with us today to talk about toys. Next week, we're going to continue to talk about the holidays and how Christmas is celebrated in other parts of the world. So join us then. Until then, have a great week. See ya.